Hey guys, I'm Paul with StudPack. Welcome back to our channel. In our previous video, you saw me and the boys start on the process of installing our Reglet base, and we made huge progress on it. We cut the drywall, put down our reveal bead, mudded it out, floated it, painted everything with a coat of satin pure white from Sherwin-Williams, and it looks awesome. This coat of paint changed the feel of the whole room. Now we are gonna get another coat of paint on there as our final coat, but while we're in the stages of finishing work, let's work on our window trim. That's gonna be the subject of today's video. We have a bunch of windows to trim out, and we're gonna start with the front ones, these massive windows. Now we've been looking at this zip and this big stretch and our tape and the drywall edges for a long time, and we wanna cover it all up. It's gonna make such a huge difference to the project. So I got in here this morning, I already made my cut list. Let me show you what I did. I simply measure the width of my opening from here to there. The other side, it was 72. Typically, I would subtract half an inch and give me a 1/4 inch of space here on each window, but on this project, I went 3/8 on each side, so I subtracted 3/4 of an inch.
Why?
Mainly because of the size of these shims down here. I didn't want to crash into those shims. That's the main reason. So I have my OD, my outside dimension of my window frame, 71 1/4 wide, 77 1/4 tall. I did all the math. Here's my cuts. I need 6 of those, 6 of those, 4 of those, 4 of those, 6 of those, 6 of those. Let's head downstairs, start cutting some wood. All right guys, down here at our cut station, I'm gonna get a really precise cut. I'm gonna measure to the tooth. I'm gonna butt the end of my tape measure against the tooth. You saw the magnet grab that blade. Our first cut is 71 1/4 right there. Using my mechanical pencil. This is precise work now. No more rough stuff. I'm gonna put my speed square right on that mark, clamp it in place, and that's my stop. Now I can crank out 6 boards, and I know they're all gonna be exactly alike. I'm gonna check the factory in for square. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I can live with that. What about you, Jordan? It's a little bit off.
It's a little off.
All right, we should trim it. You want to trim it?
Yeah, I can see it's probably like a 30-second off,
Yep,
maybe.
yep.
I think we should trim it.
All right, because we took time this morning before we started. Every time I pick this up by the handle, I feel like this moves, and it moves this way. So every time before I get started, I bring my blade down, I make sure I'm square, especially with finish work. Because you get one cut wrong, and then they're all wrong, and then you're fighting it the whole time. All right, we're gonna square this up real quick. Slide her down. Got a freshly sharpened blade. This one was actually missing a tooth right there. See where they heated it up? They brazed a new tooth on there? Yeah, and this thing is monster sharp. Ooh. Yeah, a little taper. Here we go. All right guys, took like 3 or 4 minutes to cut all 12 pieces. I know they're exactly the length I want. The time I took to make this little homemade cut table just paid off. Let's cut the rest. All right guys, time to rip all these. We have 3 different rips. How good that is. 3 different rips. It's 3
Pick number 3, my lord.
3 different rips we're gonna do. The first one, these little guys here, these are for the 3 square windows in the stairway. Now we could have ripped the entire 1x6 at once, but it's really hard to control that thing on a job site table saw, even with 3 guys. So we found it's easier and a lot more accurate just to cut them all to length that I can easily sit right here and push all 12 of those through, knowing it's gonna be all the same width. Let's get started, we're all ready to go. I think I touched the blade. All right guys, this is going incredibly fast, and that's due to our precision, our layout, all our measuring, but we can't just go ham and just send them, because check out this board right here. Kind of got a little beat up right there. So we checked them all, and the worst edge of the board is on this side, because that's gonna be my waste after it goes through the saw. We're all ready to go. Let's cut these, and time for some sanding. Oh.
Wow.
All right, guys, we've got everything ripped, but we're not gonna leave it like that. We're gonna actually sand this edge. And if you watched our previous video, we actually helped out a friend at their place of business by trimming out some windows. And we used this sanding disc from MikeFarrington.com to clean up the edge that goes through the saw blade. I mean, check that out right there. Can you see that right there, Jordan? Where the saw blade kind of wobbled? I don't know if it's showing up well on camera. We'll show you a before and after. Now the disc is tapered. So we have the motor tilted just a few degrees this way so that we're perfectly square right here. And then because my table saw only tilts that way, we had to move the fence to the opposite side. So we'll definitely put a link for the sanding disc in the description, and we'll also put a link for our bow fence and all the accessories because this thing is awesome. We're all set up. Dust collection is a must because of the fine dust created. We got our vacuum set up. Let's run these through, show you how it works. All right, guys, all the sanding of the edges is done. We marked for our holes in the longer pieces. You can see we already got these drilled, just got 4 more. We had a viewer send us this awesome kit for drilling and countersinking at the same time. Absolutely love that. Don't give me any grief about the Ryobi. My Milwaukee Charger died, so this is the only 3-jaw chuck drill I have on the whole site.
It'll be all right for what we're doing.
It's doing fine. It's really quiet, too. And yes, we could nail these, but the screws are going to hold much better because we're going to build them, paint them, transport them. The screws are going to hold way better than a nail. Hey guys, before we get started this morning, we want to tell you about my new favorite coffee routine and the sponsor of today's video, AeroPress. I used to have to get up extra early to make my coffee just the way I want. Now I just get to the job site, heat up some water in the microwave, use my own coffee, run it through the AeroPress, and I have a beautiful, rich, bold cup of coffee in seconds, ready for me to enjoy. All right guys, let's make a cup of coffee. Everything you see right here fits in the included tumbler, and there's an awesome onboard filter storage right in the bottom. We have our immersion chamber ready to go with a filter already installed. We're gonna put it on top of our tumbler. We're gonna put in 1 heaping scoop of our favorite coffee. We have our hot water ready to go. We're gonna fill it up to the number 4. Comes with a little stir. We're gonna stir it for 3 seconds. Put the plunger on and we're almost ready to brew. While we're waiting for that to brew, AeroPress is rich like espresso. It's smooth like the pour over coffee that we all love, and it's full body just like a French press. And the AeroPress is perfect for on-the-go folks like me. I'm always at a job site helping somebody else, and AeroPress is the only coffee that comes with its own built-in tumbler. Boom, pretty easy. And this thing is really easy to clean. Let's put the lid on, enjoy our cup of coffee. Man, that is awesome. Now to be honest guys, I always put cream in my coffee to hide the bitterness. But with this coffee from AeroPress, you don't need it. Because of the technology built into here and the fact that it uses air pressure to extract the flavors, there's almost no bitterness in your coffee. Awesome win. So click the link in the description to check out AeroPress and use the code STUDPACK20 at checkout. Thanks so much to AeroPress for sponsoring the video. Let's head back to work. All right guys, all of our window frames are made. All that's left to do is put on the casing, but you may have noticed in one of the shots Jordan did, we were actually pre-drilling this piece. So you saw us drill this one with the countersink, but once we lined it up, we actually ran the drill bit into here. And that is because of this pine. You see the dark sections versus the light? The light parts are really soft. See how that screw goes in there? But the dark is pretty hard. See, I can hardly ding it. So what happens if you don't pre-drill and you're right there with your screw? It's gonna wander over into the soft part and it's gonna ruin all the alignment you made with your joint. It's not gonna look as great as you want it to. That's why we pre-drill, because now the screw has to go in the hole that we drilled. Now that all these are built, let's drag one upstairs, see how it fits, and talk about the casing. All right, test fit. What do you guys think? I measured for an hour, it better fit. Nice, I love that sound. Looks great, guys. You like it? Love it? All right, now let's talk about the casing. Jordan's been talking about flushing it out right here. Traditionally, you would have a reveal, right? Like that, set it back 3/16 or a quarter, but he's thinking about that. I gotta say, I kind of like that.
It's easier to build.
It is easier to build.
Looks really cool.
And now, so if we're gonna do that, let's talk about the width. This looks a little bit chunky to me. We made a couple of lines. So this is 3.5. This line, if we rip that off, we would end up with 3. And right there, if we rip 3/4 off, we end up with 2 3/4. You think 3.5 looks too chunky?
Yeah, I like 3.
3?
Take a 1/2 inch off.
All right, let's go rip all these to 3, send them through the sander. And what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna put the whole casing on downstairs. So the next time we bring these up, it's a completed unit with 1 coat of black paint on it, and all we have to do is stick it in there, nail it to the wall. Really easy, and that's production style, right? Let's bring this guy downstairs, build some frames.
You're holding the frame.
Let's bring this guy downstairs and attach the casing. All right, guys, now that we know what we're gonna do with these window boxes, now it's time to cut our wood. And what better place to start than with the little bitty windows way in the top of the stairs where no one's gonna see it. Now, finish carpentry is one of our favorite things to do, but it's been a long time since we've done it. So we would never wanna start like at the stair landing or in the living room or the dining room where everybody's gonna see it. We're gonna start, whether it's running base, running case, in our case, the windows, in a place that's kind of out of the way. Nobody's gonna ever see it. And that's a great tip for you. If you're brand new running trim, start in your closet. Start in the
Pantry.
Pantry's a great place. The laundry room, where it doesn't matter that much. So I've got my jig set up over here. We've already got the miter cut on one end. I've got my square clamped to my little setup table here at the other. And we dialed in this length. Now theoretically, since these are perfect squares, 13 3/4 by 13 3/4, all of these pieces should be the same. So we're gonna send it. We're gonna cut all of them, glue them up. When I say glue them up, we're gonna glue up these miters, and then we're gonna apply the whole frame to our box. Let's get started. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, time to glue up these miters. We're not using wood glue, we're using CA glue. This is the thick gap filler, just because we're doing end grain. It works great on this. Jordan's gonna be that guy. It comes with an activator or an accelerator, as it's called here on the can, and I'm gonna be the accelerator guy. He's gonna put the glue on there, little activator on my side, and with his good eyes, he's gonna push those together and get it perfectly dialed in. Working on the table saw because this is nice and flat. Look at that, guys. Instant hold, beautiful. We're gonna finish that frame, then finish the other 2 and apply them to the cases we made earlier in the video.
And hopefully it looks good.
It'll look great. I got a good feeling about this.
You good? Mm-hmm. I'm freaking good. Dude.
That's the best I could do.
All right.
We got our box square with our tape measure, just went diagonals, 19 3/8 both sides. So now we can put our frame on there, just 2 nails per side. Looks great, guys. I'm gonna spin it for Jordan. A lot easier for me to move the frame than for Jordan to move. Oh, did I get you?
My fault.
The hose and the gun.
This is nerve-wracking.
You don't want a blowout, right?
Nope. Definitely didn't have one off camera.
No, that'd never happen. We would never show that.
Didn't happen. This isn't our second one.
All right, guys, got the 3 little box frames done for the 3 windows in the stairway. They look great. A little bit of fine tuning, but that's fine. Also got the 2 made for the back on either side of the sliding door. And this morning, we're actually gonna start on the 3 massive ones for the 3 windows on the front of the house. Once we're all assembled, we'll take you upstairs to show you how cool they look and give them a test fit. Saw's all ready to go. Let's rip all these boards. All right, brought all the pieces for the big frames upstairs. Too unwieldy to carry upstairs, so we're just gonna assemble it up here. Get the angle for Jordan. More, one more. He's gonna hold that angle for a little bit. We're gonna pin it with a nail. Because we already had one come apart on us, so the nail's just a little extra strength until we
we get
nail
it
it on the frame. Now this is almost a perfect square, but not quite. So I got the horizontal pieces with an H and the vertical pieces with a V. Last thing we want to do at this point is glue 2 horizontals in a corner or 2 verticals.
And when I pin it, I'm going through the horizontal, the top and the bottom. It's just one less nail we have to worry about filling.
That's it.
No, I'm not. All right. Yeah, that's good.
Oh my God.
Okay, that's the system right there.
Yep.
I see what you're saying though. Once you get used to, okay, I'll stop talking. Let me slow down.
Got our first window in. We did the middle one, and it looks great. So happy to see the finishes going into this build. Now, you may be asking yourself, how do we get that thing level and plumb without being able to put shims here? Imagine if this was our windowsill, without putting in shims here. Because we built it as one unit, we don't have access there anymore. Come on over to this left window. I'm going to show you an old trick. And this trick is also going to help us to ensure that all 3 window trim packages are level with each other. Really important to us here at the StudPack Dream Garage. We got our laser magnetically attached to our scaffold. It is set horizontally where we want it. If you check over here, so the laser line represents the bottom of our window sill right here. So on this left-hand window, you can see, this is our trick. I got 3 drywall screws. They're gonna act as little pump jacks. I can put this board behind it so you can see the laser, and I'm gonna adjust this screw manually so I'm right on that laser line, right there. I've already done these 2, so now I know the top of the 3 heads of these 3 screws are perfectly in line. Now all we have to do is set the window on those 3 screws, tip it up. The bottom's gonna be perfectly level, and it's also, more importantly to me, gonna be perfectly level with the one next to it. You can take this as far as you want. You could put 3 screws in the top to dial in your top, and even on the sides if your framing is really crazy. But ours is nice, so all we're gonna do, we're gonna set it on the bottom, plumb the sides, fasten it, and we already know the top is gonna be level and plumb because it's parallel to the bottom one. So let's set this frame in place and show you the next little detail we have to contend with, which is something we really weren't expecting. So easy. All right, frame's in, looks great, but we're hitting this little piece of trim right here that came from the factory. So we're just gonna cut a little notch in our frame. We're actually gonna route it out. I'm gonna use my square, transfer it to my window frame, do the other side, we'll take it down and route that out, and then you're gonna check out how nice it fits. All right, got my marks right here. I'm gonna transfer them to the back, square them up. So you know how I love my jigs. I made this jig to route that slot. All I have to do is slide it over my window, bump it left or right. I'm right there. See, I got my lines right in the middle. I'm gonna adjust my router. We're gonna cut that notch. It's gonna take 5 seconds. Now, I can't take it all in one pass because of the height of my router bit, so I'm just going to lower this a little bit, take my second pass, do the other side, and this guy's ready to install. This is our test piece, so I'm going to put my router on that, and now I can dial in my final depth right there, lock it, we're good to go. That's it. Huh?
How did you even think to make that thing? I would have gone like chisel route,
Buzz
tool.
saw, chisels. Yeah. Tell you what, why don't we finish these windows and then we'll show everybody and we'll just reverse engineer this, how we made it.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Cool. Money. Nice, Rad.
Really nice.
All right, we've got it dialed in left and right. We're using our miter. We want it to line up with our corner. We're even on both sides. And I like the laser because it tells me where my framing is. Boom. Now we're going to plumb it up with our 8-foot level and nail it off. All right, the trim on all 3 front windows is done. It looks and feels amazing. Jordan Rad filled all the nail holes, sanded, and vacuumed. And just looking, I can't even tell where the nail holes are.
How does it feel?
It feels awesome. It's the smoothest glass. Can't wait to see it painted. Now don't worry, we're gonna show you the whole very exciting filling of the nail holes, sanding and vacuuming process on the back windows, but we promised you we were gonna show you the jig we used to cut this notch. Look how great they came out. So it's over here behind Jordan, I'm gonna go grab it. Now the reason I made this guy, it took me like 5 minutes with some scraps and a few drywall screws and no tape measure. And I knew it would be time well spent because I would rather have a perfect cut around this piece of trim rather than a rough cut that we have to fill with caulk or whatever and we see it for the rest of the time we're in this building. Now I made this thing without a tape measure just like I said. So hang on. Now I used the material that I was routing around and for as my guide. So these two pieces, they're the width of the trim right there. Fits right on there. And these two are spaced apart for the frame of the window. So we got our jig made. Now we got these two that are spaced the same distance as the trim right here, our mole, and these two, which are spaced the distance of our frame. So if I stick the frame in there, you can see how now the frame is sticking up through that little notch. And when I use my trim router bit with that bearing on it right there, that bearing is gonna ride against the jig here on the mole part and route away that piece right there. Well worth the time and investment. You know I'm a jig guy all day long, every day. So we're done with this. It's gonna end up in the fire pile. And that's my jig, guys. All right, guys, not quite done with the router yet. Before we put it away, there's one more quick thing we gotta do. When we built the frames for the front windows, we nailed this right here. What I'm talking about, this is perfectly flush between this frame and this frame. Remember, we built them separately, attached them downstairs on the garage floor, well actually up here on this floor, and we nailed it. We didn't quite nail it on the frames for the back window. There's a little bit, my fingernail's just catching it right there, and it's kind of bugging Jordan. So I said, no big deal, son, we'll just get a router bit and we'll trim that off. You can already see I did this one over here, and it came out great. So let's do this one on the ground, and then I have a little window frame insight I want to share with you. Let me get my glasses. We'll do this one and just take a minute. Now we're just going to clean up these inside corners with a sharp chisel. So what I was thinking, Jordan, when I was routing it, you could build these undersized, right?
Right.
Not worry about it, and then just trim them with the router after. Yep. Just like a 16th all the way around. All right, I'm gonna leave it. We'll
awesome.
fill that, it'll be perfect. Now that those frames are perfectly dialed in, it's time to set them on the back wall of the building. Now we purposely framed these windows higher than 18 inches off the floor, so Jordan didn't have to go through the extra expense of buying tempered glass for these. So obviously, your sliding door is tempered, but it's not required on these because we're above 18 inches off the floor. That's the code where we are. And we already got our drywall screws dialed in. If you come in close, Jordan, you can just see the head of that drywall screw right there is just obscuring the laser beam. I've got that one dialed in, and I've also got this one dialed in. They're exactly the same height off the floor as the ones on the other side of the room, and with our laser, we can perfectly get them just where we want. So let's set these last two window frames, fill the nail holes, sand them, caulk them, vacuum them, get them ready for paint.
Is that the International Builder Show Window Building Challenge champion?
Let's go!
Those look awesome, ball.
They look great. Can't wait to finish it. All right, it is the next day, and we have been getting dumped on in Houston. So much rain. Hope we dry out before the weekend. We're going to continue working on our interior trim, and it's looking great. Love the corners, love the details. Jordan Rad did a great job filling all the nail holes and caulking. Whoever put up this blue tape, man, they deserve a huge raise. You need to check out who did that and give that guy a raise. So we're going to finish prepping them and give them a coat of paint. Here's where I might get some comments. Traditionally, I would put a semi-gloss paint on the trim and a flat eggshell on the walls, or satin in our case. But we're going all satin, same wall paint is gonna go on the trim. Not very traditional, but nothing about this project is traditional, right? We don't have a reveal here, we don't have a window stool, so we're just gonna paint it with a coat of the same paint on the walls, and we're gonna see how it looks. If we absolutely hate it, we can always throw a coat of semi-gloss on top. Let's get started. All right, first coat on the windows looks great, and I gotta say, Jordan, I don't mind the same color, the same sheen on the trim and the walls. Looks kinda good. Now, while that dries, and before we can put on a second coat, we're gonna work on the kitchen. Now, in the video where we built the kitchen, we said there was a black skin that goes here and here. And as you can see, we already slid this one into place, and it really looks great and ties everything together. Now, our next step is to install the one on the bottom here. It's 90 inches from here to here, and the panels are 90 inches long, so no cutting there. Now, one little thing we gotta do, more LEDs. Now, I'm actually on the LED train here because this is gonna be our under cabinet lighting that's gonna illuminate our counter. Remember I said this was 90 inches? These are 15 inches long. They sent us 6 times 15, 90. It's gonna fit perfectly. Now, instead of just mounting this panel and then putting this on top of it, it would look something like that. Wouldn't it be cool if we could bury this in the panel so it looks something like that? That's more complicated, so of course, that's how we're gonna do it. But the very first step, we need to mount all our LEDs. Let's pop a string line and mount all the mounting clips. All right, guys, popped our line, but we already ran into our very first problem. This part of the cabinet box is not flush with the bottom. There's a little lip there. So if we just put our light there, it's gonna rock and probably bend on the clips. We don't want to do that. So we're going to modify this cabinet just like we've done in a bunch of other videos when we've installed under cabinet lighting. And these are actually going to be pretty easy. Got a 1-inch chisel, and all I really have to do right now is go through the edge banding. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but can you see that plastic strip right there? That's edge banding around the particle board core of that piece of lumber. So I'm just going to go through that. Couple more taps, and we should be able to pop it right out of there. There she goes. All right, that's all done. Looks a little rough, but when the light's on there, check it out. You're not even gonna be able to tell that I was in there. All right, one more right here. We're ready to put up some lights. All the little clips are in, really simple, and so is installing the LEDs. Comes with these little connectors to make a chain just like that. I'm gonna plug this one in here. We've already got it powered up. Boom, and just snap it on the clip. Why'd it go off?
Bold snap. Oh.
All right, guys, those LED lights look awesome, and we're gonna make them disappear by putting our panel on either side just like that. It's gonna look great. Now, look how even that light is, because we experimented with this very first one before we plugged them all together. We moved it back and forth. We actually started way back here, had a really bright spot on the back of the wall, and we kept moving it forward until the light was nice and even. So now we're ready to go downstairs and cut our panel on the table saw. I got some measurements. Let's go downstairs, cut some wood. All right, guys, we're back upstairs. Our skins are cut. That spider blade on my table saw, it's a finishing blade. It did an awesome job. Look at that, like factory. Absolutely love it. One little detail we got to take care of before we install our skins. We have this little wire here. Got to do some wire management. So on the skin that goes back here, we're going to cut a rabbet on the top. Basically a channel on the end of the board. It's going to hide that wire like that. But before we do that, we want to drill a hole through here, through this case, so we can get into this compartment above the microwave and then up to LED Command Central way back there. Already got my drill bit chucked up in our drill. We made sure it fits, and here we go. I'm always nervous about stuff like this. Even though I measured 1,000,000 times and tested the hole and everything, it still makes me nervous. Perfect. Woo. Guys, back here at the job site the very next day, spent a lot of time yesterday dialing in the kitchen, especially this area right here. Got one of our single glass doors in. These two are on back order, be here in about 6 weeks. But look how nice this door is. A simple push there, got a soft open. It stops without crashing into the uppers. Got a little magnet there to catch the bumper. Boom, Jordan Rad did a great job adjusting that 5 different adjustments. So I got here this morning and I organized all of our IKEA parts because we were digging through boxes and bags trying to find just the right part we needed. Now we got it all organized. Also sanded all the trim, gave it a vacuum. It's ready for its second coat. Now, Jordan rolled the trim with a 3/8 nap roller and it really leveled out nice. My favorite way to do trim is to spray it. My second favorite is to brush it. And my third favorite is to roll it. But I gotta say the rolling works great. So what we wanna do right now, give it a second coat, pull off the blue tape, see how nice it looks. Let's get started. All right, second coat is all done. It looks great. And while the paint is wet, this is the best time, in our opinion, to pull the tape. Let's see how good we did, Jordan. Oh, nice. Look at that. Clean and crisp. Crisp.
Nice.
That is like the best we've ever done, huh? Now, don't say that. Our previous clients might get upset. What'd you do in my house? You mess it all up? Oh, what do you think? A completed window. Pretty cool, huh?
I'm glad we went with white.
I do too. Yeah. Black would have just been like way overbearing. All right, let me pull the tape off that last window, man. Get rid of this pile of stuff. All right, guys, we are getting close. Got the window trim upstairs all done. It looks great. And while Jordan was painting, if you notice, I even started putting in receptacles. When you start putting in receptacles, that is a sure sign that the job is coming to completion. All we got left, the floor up here, the baseboard, those are gonna go really quick. Second coat of paint on the walls. Get over here in the kitchen, finish the cabinets, countertop, sink, appliances, really easy. Stuff we've done a lot of, and a few things in the bathroom. Jordan, you're about ready to move in. I know you're excited. Guys, build yourself some custom window frames just like we did, and then build a little extra one just for your like button. Level it perfectly with the drywall screw trick. Smash that like button for us. Please subscribe. Ask a question, drop a comment, and we'll see you right back here on our very next Stud Pack video.